Hello everyone, and these are the answers to the Star Pupil quiz on Friday the 27th of August. So the first question was, and I showed you, this is a different picture, I showed you these characters and I asked you who they were and what film did they first appear in. And those characters are of course the Minions, and they first appeared in Despicable Me, but they're now quite famous in their own right. And then question 2, and I asked you, and I suppose maybe it was a bit of a convoluted question, but 3 of Henry VIII's wives had the same first name. I asked you what that name was, and that was Catherine. So there was Catherine of Aragon, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. And I believe probably it was slightly different spellings of the 3 versions of Catherine. And then I said 2 of his wives also had the same name, and that was Anne Boleyn, and Anne of Cleves. And then the 6th wife, she wasn't actually his 6th wife, she was his 3rd wife, but she was called Jane. So we had 3 Catherines, 2 Annes, and a Jane. And apparently Jane was his favourite, the true love of his life. And she was the wife who gave birth to a son who became Edward VI. And then question 3 is a geography question, and I showed you this famous landmark. And I asked you what it was called and where would you find it. So it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and you would find it in Italy, and perhaps you've been lucky enough to go to it. I've been to Italy a few times, but I've never been to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and it is something I would like to visit one day. Question 4, and I showed you the tissue box, and I asked you what shape it was. And again, just to remind you, so the tissue box, and that is a cuboid. So it's a cuboid, and perhaps you might do a little bit of research yourself and just identify the different properties of a cuboid and compare that to a cube. So question 5, the literature question, and Harry Potter's Uncle Vernon, Aunt Petunia and Cousin Dudley are the Dursleys. And I believe J.K. Rowling, who grew up in Devon, I think, and there was a village not far from where she lived called Dursley, so I think she just named them after that, I think. But that is, again, something you might want to just research. And I showed you that picture of a parachute for question 6, and the force that slows the parachute down so it doesn't plummet to earth, and that would not be good for the parachutist, is air resistance. So air resistance slows it down. Question 7, and again, there would have to be a question about penguins in a Star Pupil quiz. Rockhopper, Macaroni, Jack and King. One of those is not a type of penguin, and that is the jack. So we get rockhopper penguins, macaroni penguins and king penguins, but we do not get jack penguins. Question 8, which TV presenter of Britain's Got Talent recently broke his back falling off his electric bike? And that was Simon Cowell. So again, as I said in the questions, I think he's been quite badly injured in terms of he's got to take some time off work, but he will recover. And question 9, in which film does the main character sing the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow? And that is The Wizard of Oz. So Dorothy sings that song, but it's been recorded by lots of people as well. It's a very, very popular song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Question 10, which artist painted Sunflowers, Starry Night and Irises? And that was Vincent van Gogh, and there has been some work on Star Pupil showing you the work of Vincent van Gogh over the last few months. Question 11, maths. How many 5s are there in 30? And there are 6 5s in 30. Question 12, in the books by Cressida Cowell, and it's also now a series of films, we learned about How to Train Your Dragon. So How to Train Your Dragon was that series of books. And question 13, unlucky for some, as I sometimes say, who presents Junior Bake Off? And that is Harry Hill. So the Junior Bake Off is presented by Harry Hill. Question 14, and I asked you about matter, and matter exists in 3 states. Solid is one of them, and the other 2 are liquid and gas. So if you think about water, for example, the solid state would be ice, the liquid state would be water, and then the gas would be steam. So that just sort of makes it more sort of real for us if we think about that. And I asked you what part of the plant anchors it in place and also helps to supply water and nutrients, and that was the roots. So the roots hold the plant in place, and they also bring the water and the nutrients up to the rest of the plant. So that was question 14. Question 16, I apologise, that was question 15. This is question 16. The biggest lake in the British Isles, and it's Lough Neagh, which is here in Northern Ireland. And if you look at a map of Northern Ireland, you'll see Lough Neagh right in the middle, and it touches most of the counties in Northern Ireland. And it's the biggest lake in the British Isles. Question 17, I asked you about Ronnie OSullivan, and he's just won his 6th World Championship in snooker. So he's been playing snooker for a very long time, as long as I can seem to remember, but he's still top of the, doing really well, and he's just won his 6th World Championship. Question 18, where does the President of the United States of America live? And he lives in the White House, which is in Washington, D.C. A few years ago, I went to Washington, D.C., and I did a tour at night time and saw the White House all lit up, and a lot of other monuments in Washington, D.C., and it was just really lovely to see all those sort of very famous places that you see sort of on the news, and just to find out a little bit more about the history of some of those buildings. And question 19, that history question, and I asked about the River Nile, and it's important to which civilization, and it was important to the ancient Egyptians. So I'm sure you have studied the ancient Egyptians at some point in school and learned about the River Nile. And then the final question, I showed you this person, I'm just trying to get this. I showed you this person, I asked you who they were and what their job was. And I said he looked a little bit grumpy in that picture, and that's Frank Lampard, and he is the manager of Chelsea FC, and was previously a player, and I believe captain. And I know recently Chelsea were in the FA Cup final and didn't win, so that might be why he's looking a little bit grumpy. I'm not sure. So again, those were today's questions. As always, I do wonder how you got on. And as I say, I'm sure you knew lots of the answers, and hopefully the ones you weren't sure about, you've got those in your mind now for next time. So as I said earlier, thank you again for all your support of the Star Pupil over, let's say, the many months of lockdown, and please feel free to share these with anybody, or to, direct anybody to my Facebook page. And as I said earlier, if I can be of help to anyone, please do get in touch. Okay, take care and bye.